Now let's begin building out the branch for the war room. What we can do is left click and drag over these blocks here. Press Command C or Control C if you're on Windows, and then Command V or Control V to paste them below. From here, we can select them all, move them over. And now what we want to do is connect from this button that says, I have a question about the war room to start this block here. What we need to do is change our prompting for our response for the war room. What we're going to do is just come up here and then change anything that has to do with the real world to the war room. So here I'll just write the war room on everything, the war room, here, the war room, and then just the last sentence I'm going to write the war room costs $7,979 G. What we're going to do is just delete this ending block here because we're going to drag it out to the same one since they're both doing the same thing. And we already have the yes coming back to the capture user reply and then leading back to the response AI for the war room. So let's give this a test. I can run this by simply clicking run test. So now if I say I have a question about the war room, what would you like to know? How much does it cost? And here it says the war room costs $7,979. You can purchase it directly at this URL. So if I go ahead and click it, you can see it takes us directly to the checkout link for the war room. Is there something else you want to know? And then I'll just write sure. You can see it automatically understood our intent and it's waiting for us to ask a question. So then I'm going to say, what is the war room? And as you can see, it tells us the war room is a powerful network of ambitious, hardworking, and successful men who provide knowledge and support to help reach your full potential. And then it goes on. So we've handled the basic flow of the conversation, just asking simple questions about the war room and the real world. Now, if I were to come down and resume from this block here, where we're asking a question about the real world, and it says, what would you like to know? And I said, what are the tales of Wudang? You can see the chat automatically ends. And that's because we didn't do anything with this not found path. This not found path is important because we specifically asked a question that wasn't available in our knowledge base, meaning we didn't provide any information for the Tales of Wudang in our knowledge base. So the route that this response AI would take is called the not found path, meaning it did not find the answer. So in cases like this where the AI can't find our answer in the knowledge base for our questions, we can do whatever we want to handle the user from here. And what we're going to do in this example of not found path is forward this to a human using intents and then take their information in the form of their name and email and then forward that information to a spreadsheet and forward that information to an Airtable to serve as support ticket management. So to handle this not found case, we're going to create a text block that says, to best handle the user inquiry, we're going to inform the user that we couldn't find any relevant information for their question. So we're going to have a representative reach out to them via email. So to do that, we're just going to drag out a string here, grab a text block, and then just write that out. So here I wrote, I couldn't find a relevant answer for your question. To help you get the best help, I'm going to have one of our representatives reach out to you via email. We can also drag out the not found path from the War Room AI response as well. We're going to leave this for now, but in the next lesson, we're going to end up taking our implementation of the Airtable integration and using that to collect users' emails as well as their questions. Save that in the Airtable so that a representative could potentially check that Airtable and then reach out to the person via email answering whatever questions they have. Now next, to improve the functionality of this build even more, we could create our own intent. An example that we could use is, if at some point someone asked to speak to a human, we could create an intent to understand that they're asking for a human, forward them to a specific blog, so then we can capture the same information and have a human reach out to them. In more advanced builds, you could make this so the human could just interact directly within the chat. But for now, we'll set this up with an intent. To create an intent, what we want to do is right click, hit add trigger. Once we have a trigger, we can go ahead and hit the plus button and hit create intent. Now we can give the intent a name. I'm going to call it speak to a human. We can add a description, but this is optional and not necessary. And then from there, we can start typing in examples of some kind of queries we would like to trigger the intent. So I'll just start typing in, can I speak to a human? hit the plus button, and you can see the little bar next to utterance grew after the first utterance that we just added. The more utterance that we give it, the more it has an understanding of what the intent actually is. So then I'll just say, I don't want to speak to a robot. That's another way of saying, can I speak to a human? Let me talk to someone real. Add that. And once we have a couple of these, we can also generate more intents with AI. So let's just say, give us an extra 10 sample phrases. And it's going to take these 3 utterances that we've already created and give us some more examples. So now we have, I need to talk to a real person, put me through to a human, get me a human on the line, I want to speak with a live representative, transfer me to a human please, connect me with a real person, and so on. So now you can see that this bar is all the way filled up. So it is now considered a strong intent. From here, we just want to hit create intent. Now that we have this intent, let's drag out a text block and say, I understand that you want to speak with one of our representatives. So now we have a scenario where either we couldn't find an answer for their question or they want to speak to a human. And now we can forward this to collecting their information, their name, their email, and their issue to the Airtable so that a representative can reach out in the next lesson.